President Trump's pick to head the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey just suffered a legal defeat this week. A federal appeals court upholding a lower court ruling disqualifying Alina Habba, ruling that she was unlawfully appointed as U.S. Attorney. The court decided that the president tried to go around Congress in putting her in the job after her 120-day interim status expired without a Senate confirmation. It's not clear if the president and DOJ will appeal again, but the role of the top federal prosecutor in the state is once again in limbo. Habba is from Summit and the president's former lawyer. And joining me now with the potential fallout from this ruling is Rocco Cipparone, a former federal prosecutor in the District of New Jersey. Rocco, it's always good to see you.
Good to see you, Eric.
Listen, the White House and Attorney General Pam Bondi have pretty much been mum about this, and so has the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey. But South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace weighed in and said this, saying, quote, "This is exactly why we introduced the No Appointments by Rogue Judges Act to stop activist judges from overriding the will of the people or blocking President Trump's ability to appoint top-tier talent to serve the American public." So I want to ask you, sir, what do you think? Did the appellate court get it right?
Look, these are very difficult issues. They wrote a very thorough opinion. I think they tracked the statute or applicable statutes very well. I think they got it right, and I think the district court got it right before that. So I think President Trump and Ms. Habba have a difficult path going forward. I expect that they will appeal, and it will probably be presented as a petition for cert to the Supreme Court of the U.S. because these cases are brewing in different districts around the country, but they do have a difficult position here.
A lot of people are asking on the heels of this week is what this could mean for cases being prosecuted or that have been brought by this office under Alina Habba's tenure.
So there's a lot of swirl around that, right? And I practice a lot in the District of New Jersey, and there's a little bit of a state of flux. Many of the judges have been, and I expect will continue to require waivers of any challenges to Alina Habba's authority if the case is going to proceed forward. And if a defendant does not want to do that, they probably will put the case in limbo, at least for the time being, and the case will stay on a slow track. Even that's probably iffy as to whether or not that is a waivable issue. I think what the government is doing is belt and suspenders, also placing Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's signature on all documents so that if Habba remains disqualified, they can contend that it's still valid because it was under Blanche's authority, but that's a little bit tenuous. So there's a little bit of a quagmire there for the courts.
So it doesn't necessarily invalidate the cases that are currently pending, but it could certainly pose some serious trouble or challenges for them. What do you think is going on inside the U.S. Attorney's Office right now in terms of how they proceed after a ruling like this?
Well, I think the first thing they're going to look to is perhaps petition the full Third Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the court that just made that decision last week, or earlier this week, I should say, to hear the case, meaning it was a 3-judge panel this time. They'll ask the full complement of judges to consider it. If that doesn't go their way, then I expect an appeal to the Supreme Court. They're being very quiet within the U.S. Attorney's Office, publicly and also in individual conversations about this issue. So I think they're trying to figure out their next move and how they want to deal with it publicly.
Are you surprised that there hasn't been any kind of comment from either the White House, the DOJ, or the U.S. Attorney's Office?
I am surprised, just given the nature of the fact that Ms. Habba and the DOJ and Attorney General Bondi have not been quiet about this in the past. So I'm a little surprised, but I think they're taking a reflective approach and see what their next steps are before they put it out in the public.
Perhaps of particular interest right now may be the case against Congresswoman LaMonica McIver. A judge, as you know, denied a bid to dismiss the case against her and said the 2 of the 3 assault charges against her can proceed. So does she have the grounds at this point to file another motion to dismiss based on this ruling?
I suspect not. I don't know the timing of when her motion was denied, but a prior district court judge out of Harrisburg, to whom the case was transferred, had ruled generally that Ms. Habba was disqualified. But in that case, which is the one that the Court of Appeals just decided, the court also refused to dismiss the indictment. So it's really case by case in that regard. For example, was the indictment returned by or under the authority of Ms. Habba, in which case she might have ability to refile that motion.
How closely do you think that this is being watched, not only by the Democratic Party, but just in terms of in other districts in the United States right now?
Well, it only affects those districts in which there were similar appointments under the same alleged authority that Ms. Habba got appointed. So other than politically, a lot of the districts are unaffected by this. In New Jersey, though, where I practice a lot, we're all daily affected by it. I have, tens of cases pending in federal criminal court in New Jersey. They're all affected by this in one way or another.
Rocco Cipparone, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Good to see you, Eric. Thank you.
Good to see you too, and happy holidays. And stay with us. We've got more to come here on New Jersey Power.